Long ago, in the city of Abuja, there lived a lady called Ugoeze, whose beauty rivaled the morning sun and whose kindness flowed like the Niger River. She was cherished by her people, yet she refused every suitor, heeding her father's warning. Not all that glitters is gold, my child. Some hearts wear masks. She is originally from Anambra State, but lived with her parents who had multiple businesses in Abuja. She was a God-fearing girl, so she really wanted a God-fearing man with good character. She vowed and made a promise to herself that if she doesn't find a good man, she wouldn't get married. She was a loyal church member, very prayerful, and everything about her screamed Christ-like. She was also a medical student in the University of Abuja, very focused and one of the best in her class. God blessed her immensely in everything that she did. She had lots of suitors and men that flocked around her, and they had money to spend, but she refused any of them. And when her mom would ask her about getting married, she would say she hadn't found her type of man. When Ugoeze was a little girl, she watched her mom endure a lot of things from her father. She saw the pains and all the bitterness and frustration her mom encountered and promised herself never to be in that kind of marriage. Eventually, her father repented and became a better person, and her mom accepted him back despite all the pains he caused her. It made Ugoeze really angry, but eventually she forgave. It was December 19th, 2023. She and her family had to travel for the Christmas season, plus the celebration of her cousin's wedding. On the day of the occasion, a stranger arrived at the wedding venue. When he sighted Ugoeze, he couldn't take his eyes off her. She ticked all his boxes of his dream woman, a tall, broad-shouldered man named Ebuka, with eyes like smoldering coals and a voice smooth as honey. Ugoeze stood at the other side of the compound and was stunned. She was swept away by his physique and how handsome he looked. The village elders grew uneasy and muttered, "Beware the fox in nobleman's robes." But Ugoeze, flattered by Ebuka's devotion, dismissed their whispers. Eventually, they got talking. Ebuka was a really wealthy man, spoke well and really handsome. Ugoeze quickly fell in love with him and forgot about all her principles. At this point, she didn't even care if he was God-fearing. She was really carried away by his looks. Ebuka spoiled Ugoeze and her family with money, gifts, and food items. Shortly after, they got married. They had a happy life, and everything about the marriage seemed really good. Ugoeze was living her dream life, but there was a secret about Ebuka that she never knew. One day, when Ugoeze was 8 months pregnant, Ebuka did not come back home from work on time. She waited for hours and he still did not show up. Eventually, when he showed up, he was drunk and came back with another woman. Ugoeze was dumbfounded. She asked Ebuka what had happened and he beat her up mercilessly and asked her never to question him about his whereabouts in her life. The maid rushed Ugoeze to the hospital and sadly, she lost the baby. It was then that reality dawned on Ugoeze and she started regretting her actions. She regretted ever getting married to Ebuka. She questioned herself and really felt disappointed for rushing to marry him. Ebuka had lots of dirty habits that she never knew about. Eventually, Ugoeze lost herself. She would cry day and night and ask the Lord to show her mercy. Ebuka neglected her and was sleeping around with different women and cared less about her. She became depressed. On some days, she would want to help herself, but she feels helpless. Eventually, she came across a program on Facebook by a pastor named Jerry Eze. She joined the prayer altar and would wake up early to join the prayers every morning by 7 a.m. Eventually, she began to find her joy. One day, when she was reading the Bible, she came across a passage in Jeremiah 8 verse 10 that says, "Therefore will I give your wives unto others, and their fields to them that shall inherit them." For everyone, from the least even unto the greatest, is given to covetousness. From the prophet even unto the priest, everyone dealeth falsely. She began to pray for another husband. She got a new job and found happiness in her job. When her husband noticed that she didn't even bother about all the neglect, he became worried. One day, after a church service, a handsome man bumped into her with a warm smile, and since then they became friends. Kalu mentored her in the way of the Lord. They became so close, went to church together, did Bible study together, and always prayed together. Kalu was so disciplined and God-fearing. Eventually, her feelings for Kalu began to grow. She expected Kalu to ask her out, but he never did. She noticed that he was very principled, so she decided to keep her cool. She didn't even want to make the first move, so she tried to conceal her feelings for him. But it never stopped her from praying to God for a God-fearing man. One day, she came home and met her husband with another woman on their matrimonial bed. He broke her down again and served him divorce papers few weeks later. After the divorce, God showed her a secret in her dream. She dreamt about Kalu pledging his vows to her, and she woke up happy, screaming, "What God cannot do does not exist." 2 days later, Kalu invited her for a dinner date. She was so excited. He expressed his feelings to her and eventually proposed. That was the happiest day of her life. On their wedding day, Kalu made a vow to her and told her that God told me to take care of you because you are my daughter with whom I am well pleased. They lived happily ever after, and God blessed them with children, a boy and a girl.